Hi, in this video we're going to look at the Amplify Fusion map function called aggregation. So aggregation is when you want to aggregate data by some field or fields. So if we look at a sample JSON object, you can see here an array of employees, and I think what's important here is the department and the salary, and you can see here there's a couple different departments, and here is 2 employees in the engineering department. So aggregating would do something like this, would produce a data set where maybe you have the count of employees in a department and maybe the total salary. So there's a couple different things you can do with some of the properties, but this is an example of aggregating by department and then doing some calculations while we're doing the aggregation. So let's see how to do this in Amplify Fusion. So one thing we're going to need is a data object to represent the input data. So I will take one of those files. Let's call this employee salary. And I'll use a JSON sample for that. And let me grab that salary data. And you can see here an array of employees, and here I've got the salary, department, and the other fields. I have also got a larger data set here with 50 employees that I'll actually use as my data. Alright, so that's the data object. Why don't we create an integration? Hello, aggregation. And we'll do an event, we'll do a scheduler as usual, so we can test it using the test button. We will not activate it, so I'll put 60 seconds. And the first thing let me do is create a variable to hold my employee salary data. So I'll create a string, employee salary data. And let me come in here, let's grab this 50, copy it, minify it. I think I've done it already. Let me minify that, okay. Copy, and let's come back into our integration, and let's set that. Okay. The next thing is, let's JSON parse that to create a document that we can use with our map function. So let's select the data object employee salary. Let's pass that data into the JSON string, and this is what the output will look like. Right? Array of employees with salary, department, first name, last name, etc. Alright, so now we can actually use our map function called aggregation. So let's add a map component, let's expand this, and let's look for our advanced functions, and it's the first one, aggregation. And let's take a look at it. So the first thing that's interesting is you can do the same aggregation on multiple arrays or document arrays. So I don't know if you can see these icons, but the doc list that we're going to pass in is a document array. And that's actually going to be this employees list. But notice that this is part also of a document array. So the first thing we need to do is just select which one of these inputs this is going to be. I'm only doing one, so let's set that to 0. But again, I could be passing in multiple arrays here, and then for each one I would just set which index on the input list. Alright, now for the output list, let's do this. Oh, no, we don't need to do that. So let's come under config and set config, and let's look at this UI. So what do we want to group by? So if you recall from the example here, we want to group by department. So let me select employee salary, employees, and let's select a department. And don't forget this plus sign, so this is when we can have multiple group bys, but we're only going to group by department. The next thing is we want to start selecting or defining our outputs. So we've got count, department, and salary. So the first thing we'll put here is department, and we won't do anything to that. We're not going to set a new key name. We could, or we can apply it in effects, but we'll do that in a second. So the second thing is I have a key name here, and I want to do count. So the key name is going to be count, and the effects is going to be the count. And I don't think I need a key for that. We'll find out. If I do, I'll come back and do that. And then we want a salary total. And here we do need to pick salary, because that's the thing we're going to count on. So the key name here is going to be salary total, and the effects is going to be a sum. And I think here we probably do need a key, and it doesn't matter what it is because we're just counting these. So I'll just do ID. And that should be it. So before I save, I want to copy node, because this output defines the structure of my output. So let me save that. And now I can just do a paste, and I'll just call that aggregation. And then let's click that, and you can see it's got those 3 fields. Click save, and now let's test this. All right, and if I click that, well, first of all, notice the employee salaries, there's 50. So if we get anything less for aggregation, it's probably doing the right thing. And I think my data set does only have 4 departments, and you can see there's 11 in engineering with a total of $1,052,188. I've got 15 people in project management, so that's 36 total. I've got 9 in quality assurance, so that's 35, and there should be 15 here. 15 in design. So we could see here, without using a for loop, I was able to loop through my data, the 50 employees, and do aggregation based on department, collect a count of employees, as well as the total salary in that department. Thank you.